Hello, this is Math with Beth, and we are going to do long division with polynomials. So we are going to start with a quick review of just regular long division. So you can see that it is the same steps you will do when you're doing the harder stuff, like dividing polynomials. So remember that when you're doing 3 into this number, you really go one at a time. So how many times would 3 go into 2? It can't go at all. So now I'm really thinking of this as 20. Now, remember that 0 means that there are no hundreds, right? There's 5 ones, 4 tens, there's no hundreds, but we still need that 0 there. Same when we do the polynomials. If there's something missing, we are going to have to put a 0 there. So 3 times what would get me as close to 20 as possible? That would be 6. So we pick the number, then we multiply, and then we subtract. Then we bring down the next number and we start again. So I'm just reminding you of the steps because it's the same steps we're going to do. 3 times what would get me to 24? 8. Multiply, subtract, bring down the next number and do it again. 3 times what would get me as close to 5? 1. 1 times 3 is 3. There's nothing left to bring down, so this is my remainder. And remember, with remainders, we can always make them a fraction by putting the remainder over what we were dividing by. So we're going to do that exact same thing with this problem. So first, if I'm doing this divided by this, it's the x squared plus 1 that goes outside. But here's what I was talking about. There's an x squared, but I don't have any x's. So I'm going to fill that spot with a 0x, just so I have every spot taken care of, because it makes it a lot easier to do the work. So 3x to the third is my highest power here. So I need to make sure I have something squared, which I do. I need to make sure I have a regular x, which I do. If any of these were missing, I'd put a 0 and a constant. So even though we have multiple things going on, we're going to focus on the first terms to pick what goes up here. So what would I need to multiply x squared by to match 3x to the third? Obviously, I would need the 3, and then I would need one more x to get to x to the third. So that's how I pick this. Once you pick it, then you go ahead and you multiply by everything out here. So 3x times the x squared is 3x to the third, which I picked so that those would match. 3x times 0 is just going to be 0x squared. 3x times 1 is 3x. Now be careful here because we need to now subtract. So make sure you're really subtracting these, and subtracting these, because sometimes it gets easy to make a mistake with the negatives. So these are gone, which is the whole reason I picked the 3x. So they'd match and that would go away. 4x squared minus 0 is still 4x squared. 1x minus 3x is negative 2x. And now I bring down what's next. So we did the same steps we did up there. I picked what went here, multiplied it, subtracted, and then brought down the next thing. So now we start again. Now what would I need to multiply x squared by to match 4x squared? Well, all I need is the 4. So now I multiply. 4 times x squared, 4 times 0, 4 times 1. And now, again, make sure you really are subtracting here, here, and here, because you see there's going to be some negatives involved. Gone. Negative 2x minus 0x is still negative 2x, and 7 minus 4 is a positive 3. There's nothing left, so this is my remainder. And so it said find the quotient and the remainder. So if that's what they wanted, this is the quotient, is this part, and the remainder is this part. If you wanted to write it together, we could write it as 3x plus 4 plus, and then put that remainder on top of what we were dividing by in the beginning. So that's how you could write it all together. But as far as the vocab, this is the quotient and this is the remainder. Okay, let's do one more. If I wanted to do this, again, this goes inside, x to the fourth minus 3x to the third. Do you see that we're missing an x squared? So I need to put a 0 there, plus 2x minus 5. Out here, I have an x squared, I have an x, and I have a number. So I don't have any zeros out here, but this time there was a 0 inside. So make sure you see why I put that 0. Now, what would I need to multiply x squared by to get to x to the fourth? X squared. Now I multiply by all three things. X squared times x squared times negative x squared times 1. Now make sure, subtract, subtract. So this one's going to get kind of crazy with all those negatives. Subtract. X squared minus, x to the fourth minus x to the fourth, gone. This one, be careful. -3 minus -1. Minus a negative are going to turn into plus. So I really have -3 plus 1. So that's going to be -2, x to the third. And then here, careful, if you rush, you see a 0 and a 1, you think it's just going to be a 1. But remember, we are subtracting. So 0 minus 1 needs to be negative. You don't have to write the 1 there. I'm just writing it. Make sure. Bring down the next thing, and we start again. What would I need to multiply x squared by to match this? I need the negative, I need the 2, and I need another x. Now I multiply. -2x times x squared times negative x would give me a positive 2x squared. -2x times 1 would be negative 2x. Now subtract, subtract, subtract. -2 minus a -2 really means -2 plus 2, which is 0. -1 minus 2, be careful, that's a -3. And 2 minus -2, that really becomes plus, so it's 4. Bring down the -5, and we have to go one more time. What would I have to multiply x squared by to match this? I would just need the -3. Now I multiply. -3x squared, negative times a negative is a positive 3x, negative times 1, -3. And now carefully subtract, subtract, subtract. So I know this is going to be 0, but just in case you don't believe me, -3 minus a negative really makes it plus. A -3 plus 3 is 0. 4 minus 3 is going to be 1x. You can write the 1 or not write the 1. And -5 minus a -3 means we're really adding. So -5 plus 3 is -2. Again, as far as the names, this is the remainder. This is my quotient. But I can write it all together as a final answer of x squared minus 2x minus 3 plus x minus 2 over x squared minus x plus 1. So that is long division with polynomials. I hope that helped, and I will see you.